What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Breaker Burrows. And tonight we're going to go over, I guess, some ref news, some Joe Burrow comments, and then we'll do our couple of mocks. But I guess starting off with the refs, what did you want to go over?
Oh, well, I mean, we've been critical of refs, so I thought it was interesting that both Roger Goodell and the refs released statements about not favoring the Chiefs. But I thought that the referees' comments were kind of funny. So I guess this is on the internet here. So here's the leader of the ref union, and he goes, Commissioner Goodell's comments that it is ridiculous to presume that NFL officials are not doing everything possible to make the right call on every play is spot on. Officiating crews do not work the same team more than twice each regular season. It is insulting and preposterous to hear conspiracy theories that somehow 17 officiating crews consisting of 138 officials are colluding. They couldn't possibly collude to assist one team. And then, to me, well, first, what's your reaction on that? What do you think about that?
I feel like that's very specific wording. Like the fact that they said that there's 17 officiating crews and no crew does, I guess, two of the same team, I guess, which I don't think is true because they have the playoffs, right? You make the playoffs.
Well, I think they say regular season. So you're right. They are careful in wording here. Regular season.
But yeah, but the whole thing is like it doesn't take the whole 17 officiating crews. It's kind of with that Donahue, the ex-official from the NBA.
Yeah.
They have specific crews that they know make specific calls.
Yeah.
You know? So if like they want a certain outcome potentially, they know which crew to hire, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing I like about it is, you know, we're attacking the fans for talking about what everybody can plainly see, right? Everybody's watching the games. They see it. But the thing I love about it is this guy's the head of the referee union, right? So how could the referees possibly organize and then do something in concert? It's like the guy's in charge of the union, the NFL Referees Association. Here's all these guys hanging out together. It's the sole and exclusive bargaining representative of all employees employed by the NFL to officiate games. It's just like the guy that's in charge of the organization that colludes with each other to negotiate with the NFL to get the best possible working conditions and money for the officials is saying, there's just no way we could do it. It's just like, I mean, come on. It's exactly how you would do it. You would talk to the guy who's in charge of, I mean, like they meet, you know, like literally the NFL grades crews and crews are rewarded for excellence and face consequences for not achieving expectations. It's on their website. I mean, it's silly.
I just hear like someone ask a very obvious question to Goodell and just see how he would answer it. Like, for instance, if someone were just to ask, like, do you feel the NFL has a lot to gain financially with Taylor Swift being involved?
Yes.
But like, just ask a simple question and see how he responds to it. And if he like skirts around the obvious answer, then you know they have an agenda.
Well, I mean, you know, not that we're huge fans of Mark Cuban, but I mean, he's saying like, you know, Mark Cuban likes to say pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. And he's saying like the NFL is starting to look like a hog. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's because of this, right? The NFL takes the hardcore fan for granted, right? They know that as Bengals fans, if they put the Bengals on TV, it doesn't matter who they show during commercial breaks. It doesn't matter who's calling the game. It doesn't matter who's announcing the game. Bengals fans will watch the Bengals play, right? So who do they care about? They care about the not sports fans, because that's what moves the needle to get them a little bit more money, right? They've already got all of our money. So
You mean like an international pop star? You think that would move the
maybe,
needle a little bit?
but how? But Josh, how could we get a pop star like tied to the NFL? I just don't understand. How do you make that happen?
I don't know. It hasn't
If only
happened
there
yet.
was a
So
way.
I don't know.
If only there was a way.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so I guess we talked about that enough.
Well, I feel like I was going to add something to that, but
Yeah, well, it's a good picture.
well, the thing is, it's like if there's nothing to hide, then why are they like so? Like, why is their denial so like? What's the right word? Because I just feel like if there wasn't anything to hide, then they wouldn't be like coming into their own defense so hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. They're pissing off the wrong type of fan, which is the hardcore gamblers.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I think that's what's causing more of a stir-up, is that because gambling has become more rampant, especially with all these different gambling apps. People have become way more invested in games that they probably wouldn't even care about.
Right.
I mean, you kind of saw that a little bit with fantasy football, but it's to the extreme now. So people are paying attention to a lot more games that they wouldn't normally have. And with that said, I do think there needs to be a little bit more transparency in terms of like what they do to correct bad calls, or at least identifying calls, or maybe there is a place that you can go to see all this. I'm not sure if it's here, but
Well, I mean, again, they point to, here's the operations page of the NFL, right? But I mean, they say that they grade them, right? I mean, literally, this would be the exact mechanism, right? They admit that they are graded
Right.
and that they are rewarded for accuracy by the NFL.
yeah,
like-
because like if you call roughing the passer for Patrick Mahomes, that's you get rewarded. It's a $10,000
Exactly,
bonus.
exactly.
Okay.
Because who's the judge of whether or not it was the right call? I mean, it's like a kangaroo court. It's like, okay, yeah, we're 98% accurate according to who?
But this
The
information,
NFL.
I do feel like needs to be public, because I mean
It
there
is
is so
public.
much.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
I mean-
yeah, like the actual grades, right?
Right,
what
like
was the
what they're
correct
grading
call?
on, how they're
Yeah.
correcting it, if there's any fines, or they should actually suspend referees. Like, basically what they do to the NFL players.
Yeah,
If they wear the wrong
or
colored sock, they get fined $10,000.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, who's NFL players know that they get fined for complaining about referees, and like this year feels like tons of players have been like popping off complaining about like the officiating, right?
Even coaches.
Yeah. So it's not something people are making up, and like it's so obvious to draw the lines,
It's so funny too, and don't get me wrong, and I want to say this to begin with, because I know there's a lot of cool Chiefs fans. I'm talking about the bad ones when I talk about the Chiefs fans, especially on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. But I feel like with those bad apples, it's like I never seen a dynasty, and they are a dynasty, the Chiefs, always consistently try to take the underdog route. Like they always think like they're like not good enough. It's like, act like a dynasty. Just if you think you're good, act like you're good. Stop like defending all these bad calls and like making it seem like there is no bad calls and there is no favoritism. Like it'd just be refreshing to see some of these fans and be like, yeah, maybe we got a few calls called for us or whatever, but that just comes with the territory of being really good.
Right.
We're gonna win regardless. Like I haven't seen those people say that. All I've seen is that we're the crazy ones. There isn't
Yeah.
favoritism. The games
There's
are being
nothing
called
to see
correctly.
here.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what kind
It's
of
like it's
weird-
it's silly. It's absurd. I mean, we're watching the games. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the part they forget. It's like we're watching. We see it. It's so obvious.
Oh, yeah. I'm 100% hate watching. Like I'm not afraid to admit it. Like
Hate watching what?
I'm purposely watching in hopes that the Chiefs lose, but at the same time, like
Oh,
no,
you're talking about the game Sunday
no, just in general, because
in
it's
general.
like when I go back and forth with some people on X or whatever, and they'll be like, "Well, why are you watching the games?" I'm like, "Well, I feel like a hypocrite if I think things are rigged and I don't actually watch the games." Part of me like watching is just to like add to what I believe because we see it day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I wasn't really converted until a couple of years ago when the whole 5th down and, after like really thinking about it and just continue to see the Chiefs always get these close calls. Like it's just,
Mm-hmm.
if you can't admit that there's favoritism, then I feel like there's a problem. Like it comes with the territory. Like if the Bengals became really good and they had the same type of run as, the Patriots and the Chiefs or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I wouldn't be afraid to admit that there is favoritism. I mean, part of getting the calls is just being good a lot. Sometimes they'll give you more of the benefit of the doubt. Now, all the calls that we see, it just seems like they're really trying to usher like an agenda. Like I think they really want the three-peat, and I've kind of felt like that this whole year.
Yeah.
Just with them constantly getting all these like close calls and non-calls, and 1 week against the Bengals, it's passer interference, but then there's like when the Chiefs should be called for pass interference, no calls. Like there was at least 2 or 3 games after that penalty in week 2 where the Chiefs are literally on the receiver, very similar to what happened with Dejon Anthony, and nothing's called. And it's just like it's in plain sight. But it is what it is. I kind of accepted the fate. I think it's going to be pretty comical when the Chiefs don't get some of these calls because at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to win 4 in a row. I don't think the NFL wants to see that. I mean, if anything, they may want the Chiefs to get back to the AFC Championship, but just to lose, because that would probably break all types of records for an AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
But I suspect if everything is like the way I think it is, they're going to force the Chiefs, if they do make the AFC Championship, they won't be at home. Like, I feel like they'll eventually want them to play an away playoff AFC Championship game. You would think at some point. I mean, they can't keep playing at home. Like, it's getting kind of ridiculous. Like, because I feel like having all their AFC championships been at home, I feel like it has.
I feel like it has, yeah.
Because, like, the year that they didn't get the number 1 seed, actually, there's been, I think, 2 or 3 years. I think, because one of the years the Ravens lost in the divisional round. And then the other year, the Bengals beat the Titans that were the number 1 seed when Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times. But because they beat the number 1 seed, it allowed the Chiefs to have another home AFC Championship game. But, all right, I guess speaking of Joe Burrow, I guess this would be a good time to get into some of his comments. I thought they were pretty interesting because it seems like he's been pretty vocal lately.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of nice to see that he's, I guess, putting the fire to the front office. But I do think re-signing Chase, Higgins, and Hendrickson is very doable. I think really what it comes down to is guaranteed money and when that needs to be paid out. But it should be manageable because I just feel like when you have the core of Burrow, Higgins, Chase, and Hendrickson, like we can get by with a lot of support players.
Right.
But I do think they can get a lot of upgrades with just cutting some people and signing more free agents, and then they have to draft well this year, obviously. But I think the last couple of years they drafted pretty good if you just look at the record. So
if you ignore offensive linemen, yeah. I mean, Mims was a pretty good pick. Yeah.
And I like our other offensive lineman that we draft.
Matt Lee.
Matt Lee, yeah. I feel like he's actually going to be pretty good whenever he actually gets to play.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so this is Joe Burrow talking about free agency here.
Yes.
Those guys. The cap is going up each year. We just got new TV deals, so the cap can continue to go up.
TV money. Yep.
And we all want to stay together. So
I don't
we're
understand what's so funny about that.
Huh? I don't know. I mean,
it's like the cap
I don't even know who that person is.
Well, I don't see what's like satire behind this. I guess maybe part of it's because they know it's the Bengals front office, and we're notoriously known for being really cheap or frugal, however you want to say it. But
no, they're cheap. They're cheap. I mean, there's no doubt that they're cheap. But I mean, like, you know, part of it too is that, you know, Cincinnati is not a major media market. So when you talk to people from a media market, like, you know, the ESPN people, like they like to crap on the smaller markets just, you know, out of habit, right?
Well, what makes it tough is that the Bengals don't have the same type of cash flow as some of these other teams have, because most of the other, you know, really well-run organizations, they're backed by billionaires that made money actually owning a company versus just having a football team.
Yeah, I'm not going to defend the Bengals ownership. They could do better. I mean, they're cheap and they lack creativity. So just because they're not doing it doesn't mean that there isn't a way to do it. I would say that there's probably ways to get the cash you need.
Okay, well, how much money do you think they have on hand?
They could get more money on hand, is what I'm saying. You could
How?
work with a bank. Go talk to bankers. Bankers love loaning people money and adjusting when you get money. I mean, it's not hard to get access to capital when you are sitting on the cash cow of the NFL. They just choose not to, either from stubbornness, lack of creativity, cheapness, call it whatever you want. They're just not a well-run organization. I mean, it's just, so you have that, but you know, so that's part of it, right? So like the big media markets, they want all the best Bengals players to go elsewhere because they don't want them in Cincinnati because, you know, we're not a big market, and you know, frankly, we kind of got lucky. But because we got lucky, that's the reason why you re-sign them. But I'm just saying that's why everything's just so funny about, like, you know, the flyover state team, right? They all they can think of is, like, you know, like big names and New York and Dallas, and so like they just automatically assume that everybody's just going to leave Cincinnati and go to places that have bigger fan bases and are more interesting to the people on TV. But hopefully it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree to a certain extent. Obviously, they're not the most well-run organization in the NFL. Probably not even top 15.
I'll go quote Mark Cuban again. I think a Dairy Queen manager could run the Bengals better than the team that's in charge of the Bengals. I'm just, you know, it's just, you know, that's the unfortunate part of growing up in Cincinnati is we're stuck with our ownership group. They're just not very good.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that at all. Because, like, if you listen to some of the other, you know, former Bengals players, like even AJ Green most recently, he always said that Mike Brown treated him well, and he's got a lot of respect for the Browns. Like I think the biggest thing with the Bengals,
that's different. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm saying he's a bad businessman, and they don't run their team well. I mean, they're folksy. To me, it just feels like they try to run the They try to run the Bengals like it's the 60s or 70s, right? Like, I don't think they're like a modern ownership group.
I can see that, but also I don't think they have as much cash on hand as some of these other teams are. Because, like,
I agree that they don't have cash
teams,
on hand.
Especially,
but I
think,
think
if you look at the Browns, like, for them to lose and take a hit, 20 million here and 30 million there, like, it's not as big of a deal as it is for the Browns. Like, I feel like what they look for is that they want to make sure that they have a solid player that, however you look at it, then they feel good that they gave that person the money.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, the NFL is a juggernaut. They have all this guaranteed money coming in. If you need cash, you go talk to investors and bankers, and you find cash. It's not hard to do. Or let me rephrase it. I don't know if it's hard to do or not. I'm saying that there's probably a way, and they need to be a little bit more creative and perhaps talk to people with cash so you can get the cash when you need the cash.
I think the Bengals need to pull a little bit of the Green Bay Packers, because I heard that they can give out, like, minority, I guess, ownership. What they need to do is give it back to the fans. Like, open it to where, you know, like, people can buy in. And I feel like,
I mean, there are lots of ways to raise cash. Like, the Packers raise cash because they sell fake shares in the team. that you can hang on your wall.
Well,
and
they
you
need
can't
to do
sell.
that with Cincinnati because I
Right?
feel like a lot of
like
Cincinnatians
Dallas.
will be
Dallas
willing-
raises money. Like, I mean, you know, again, the thing I like to point out with Dallas is like that stadium is constantly generating money. They're like college bowl games, college regular season games,
Taylor Swift concerts.
you could go on a tour. We could probably, I mean, that place is just constantly generating cash. I mean, lack of cash is just lack of business creativity. I mean, there
But to
are
go back
ways
to
to
my
generate
point,
money.
The reason
Yes.
why that is because Jerry Jones, first and foremost, is a businessman. He's not a football guy.
Right.
Football family. So
Right.
he
The
doesn't
Bengals
have
are like a family business run by football people who don't really. Well, I mean, like even the football people thing, like, okay, I mean, they're not the best football people either, right? I mean, for some reason, we've gone like a decade without a guard. I mean,
I don't know. They seem to draft quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers really well.
yeah, get a guard. Okay, let's go back to the video.
Do that, and you know, we have great players that have done great things and deserve to be paid. They're going to be paid what they're worth, whether we do it or somebody else. I hope we do it. I think, you know, we've had the discussions that the guys are going to get paid that need to get paid, and so it's a big off season for the Bengals.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to let you go. I know that.
I think this, to me, shows the glaring difference between Burrow and Palmer. I just feel like the Joe Burrow effect is a real thing, and I really do think the Bengals are going to re-sign all three of those players because I think they also feel how Burrow feels. Now, at the same time, I think some of the players have to play ball a little bit. Like, they can't expect like the best contract in all three of those positions. I mean, obviously, you're going to pay Chase whatever he wants. Like, that's non-negotiable. You just got to give him what he wants if you want to keep him. But, you know, I feel like Higgins and Hendrickson may have to take a little bit less than probably what they can get somewhere else. But I also I think they're okay with it too. But it's just got to be within the ballpark, right? It just can't be such an insulting offer where it's like, okay, now you're taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, they can't do the thing that they used to do, right? Like the Bengals are notorious for when their free agents go on the market, lowballing them, and then say, "Come and get when you get a better deal, come back to us." And then like they go and they'll get a deal, and they'll say, "Hey, they offer me, you know, $18 million a year," and the Bengals go, "Okay, well, we'll give you 17," and then they'll be like, "Wait a minute, that's not how this works. I'll stay if you match it," and they're like, "No, we'll give you 17," and then they leak the details to the media, and it looks like the Bengals bid 17 and they just got $1 million more, but it's like the timing of it, right? That's what they did to Hushmanzada, and that's what they did to oh geez, I can't remember his name.
TJ, who's your mama?
The
Whitworth?
tackle, Whitworth. Yeah, they did the same thing to Whitworth. They lowballed him. They wanted to give him 7, and then the Rams, I think, offer him like 14 or something. And then like Whitworth, like they've interviewed and they've said this, right? Like he was like, "Yeah, I'll stay. Can you match it?" And they're like, "No, we do 9." You know, like they never, you know what I mean? Like they pretend like they're trying to keep you, but they really don't. So I just hope they don't do that. But the other thing is the biggest difference, or another difference between Burrow and Palmer is the Burrow's demonstrating some leadership here, right? He's taking ownership of the situation. He's just like, these are my guys and I want them to stay. So he's doing interviews telling everybody that he's going to do everything he can to keep them, and he wants them to get paid, but he wants them to stay, right?
I mean, look what he's done so far. I mean, they got a practice bubble. They sold the naming rights to the stadium.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to do a whole bunch of. I mean, this is also part of like the Burrow effect, but like I think they're going to redo Riverfront a little bit. I saw that. So like all these changes are coming. Like they're trying to.
Well, the
cultivate,
riverfront change was like in the original lease with the county. The county just never did it.
But do you think all this would have gone through the way it has if Burrow wasn't there?
No. I mean, if we're criticizing people for not being good businessmen, I mean, Burrow knows what he's doing, and that's like, I have a friend that says, like, Burrow's kind of the perfect quarterback for the Bengals because he can do all this off the field stuff, like he has to do more than like behind the scenes with the ownership and with the media and trying to get things done.
Well, and I think in the grand scheme of things too, he's probably more of a small market guy anyways, personality wise. Now I'm sure there's aspects where he doesn't mind the attention or whatever, but I think he is kind of like what you would consider like an Ohio guy, I guess is the best way to explain it. But I think that was another thing when we got Burrow, was like we finally got the guy from Ohio, because I always felt like they missed out on Big Ben. I was like, how do you miss out on that guy? He was like playing in your backyard practically. But when they got Burrow, it was just like the perfect guy for the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I just hope they can get him a Super Bowl. Like he deserves it.
I deserve it.
Well, the fans deserve it too, but I just feel like he's going to have to endure a lot.
Right. And I know, I want to make it happen. Everybody involved, Trey, T, Jamar, Mike G, we all want to stay together. And so when you have guys that are motivated like that, I think, you can get those things done.
So they said, hey, we need you to restructure. It's something you would consider, not knowing what the numbers are. You'd be willing to at least have that type of conversation.
And I feel like we talked about this before, about him restructuring, which I don't think it's 100% necessary. But I think if he needs to do it just to get the ball past a goal line, I think he'll do it. But I think a lot of it has to come with the guaranteed money and when things have to be paid out.
But he's being proactive, right?
Yeah.
He's like
he's making
cutting off
excuses.
He's getting rid of all the excuses before anything happens. He's like, well, I mean,
the cap's going up.
Right. He's like the cap's going up, and
he's
then
willing to restructure. They all want to stay.
Well, he hasn't said that part yet. There, I'll play that, and then we'll talk about it.
You have the faith in the Brown family, Bengals organization.
All want to stay together. And so when you have guys that are motivated like that, I think, you can get those things done.
So they said, hey, we need you to restructure. It's something you'd consider, not knowing what the numbers are. You'd be willing to at least have that type of conversation to keep the core guys together?
Of course.
Got it. Do you have the...
Yeah, so like you said, he said he'd restructure. But I mean, yeah, whether he needs to or not, it removes the excuse of, oh, we didn't have the cap space to make it happen, right? He's going out there and he's saying, all these guys want to stay, pay them, and I'm willing to restructure so that you can pay them. So, the onus is on the ownership group, right?
Yeah, and I think the first chip is going to fall next week, because it sounds like, because earlier in the week, I think Trey Hendrickson was also interviewed, and he basically said, hey, I want to do whatever I can to help Cincinnati win a Super Bowl, whether he's being there physically or if he gets traded for multiple picks or whatever. But supposedly his agent is going to meet with the Bengals this coming week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know, it's going to be a weird situation. I feel like it's a situation where I feel like they should have a contract figured out by now. I mean, I don't know. And if you're the Bengals, you want to be the first domino, right? Because if you keep waiting and other people get extended and signed or whatever, the price is only going to go up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you just got to start getting stuff done, right? Just practically speaking, you can't save 3 contracts until the last second. You got to start knocking them out.
Right. And really what it comes down to is that Hendrickson and Chase have to be the first 2, because I mean, they're going to be the priority. I mean, I think they pretty much have Chase's contract chiseled out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Duke Tobin basically said that they basically know what needs to be done, and it really just comes down to what Hendrickson wants and what T wants. And if they want like the max for what they're actually worth, then it's probably not going to happen. But if they're willing to come down a little bit, which I think they will have to a little bit, because I mean, the Bengals are going to have to do some serious work in the offseason as far as free agents. I mean, they're going to have to get at least 2 or 3 more starters.
Well, and
then draft a few
that's the
more.
thing with Hendrickson too. It's just, I mean, you don't want to start talking to free agents before you pay Hendrickson. So I think it's makes sense to do that one early. I don't know first, second, how much that matters, but I mean,
I
you
guess
definitely want to get these done.
Well, if you the Hendrickson is going to be the linchpin, right? Because I think they pretty much know no matter what, they're keeping Chase. You know, I think that's a foregone conclusion, right?
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
where the
ultimately,
wiggle room is with how much Hendrickson and T are willing to sign for is what it comes down to. But it's like, in my mind, they still need to get a starting guard, another defensive end that's a starter quality.
yeah, maybe we go up to Cleveland and see if we can sell Myles Garrett on playing on the opposite side.
That would only make sense if T. Higgins wasn't coming back, but even then, because like Myles Garrett is going to be more than Hendrickson, because I think whoever trades for him is going to have to extend him.
Oh, you think?
Oh yeah, that's why like it makes sense for the Bengals to get it done next week with Hendrickson. Let him be the first domino. Give him a significant pay increase, right?
Right. So that he sets the number that
everyone,
Garrett,
it's gonna be
Garrett
10% more, 10% more, right? So it's
yeah.
like,
No, we're on the same page. We're on the same page with that.
But yeah, no, they got to figure out these 3 contracts because this is basically going to be the core for the next 3 years, essentially. And I feel like they still need to find a starter for a defensive end, a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Technically 2 guards, but I feel like you can draft a guard to be a starter. Potentially. But I guess you would still... I mean, and then they got to fill in a lot of role players, too. Like, they still got to figure out who's going to be the running back, too.
Yeah. I mean, all this talk about players and filling things in. Do you want to do a mock draft?
Let's hop right into the mock draft. Let's do it.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Pull it up on the old mock simulator machine. Let's see. So we're going to pick, for the Bengals, we're going to pick 17. I think it's our first mock draft of the season, so let's just do it fast. We don't want to do turbo.
Do 7 rounds, though.
Yeah, we'll do 7 rounds. And then
Don't make it too crazy.
We'll just weight it in between PFF and the public.
I think that's fair. 'Cause I feel like nowadays, like especially this part of the season, I feel like people that are really into the drafts probably have a little bit more accurate idea.
Yeah, and then we'll put randomness towards the low end, and then maybe we should even turn it off because, yeah, let's turn it off. Let's put randomness at the minimum because I feel like our picks are going to be random because this is the first one and we're doing all 7 rounds, so we don't even know who anybody is, right?
Well,
you good with that?
For the most part, I feel like I have a pretty good idea for the first round, though.
Well, yeah, but 7 rounds.
Yeah,
All right, you ready? You like the settings? You good?
Looks good.
All right, let's do this. All right, and then and no trades. Are we
No trades.
No trades. I mean, there's no point because I don't even know who I would target if I traded. So let's start the draft.
Now I'm gonna hope for Walter Nolan in the first round. But
okay. Oh, well, there you go, Walter Nolan. Let's draft him.
I think that's the right one.
Okay. Well, before we do, see Jack Sawyer. This feels like a very Bengals pick. Ooh, we could get a tackle from North Dakota State. All right, moving on.
The only other ones I was considering is maybe like a defensive end, but I don't see the ones I like.
Well, you got Shamar Stewart.
Actually, Mike Green,
Michael Williams,
down.
Jack Sawyer.
Or wait, was he drafted already? They may have updated this already.
Who?
It's he was drafted 11th.
Mike Green from Marshall.
Yeah, and then Pierce.
Yeah.
I could see one of those two potentially, but I think Nolan, if he makes it that far, makes the most sense.
Okay.
Because they're going to need a starter quality defensive tackle regardless.
Makes sense to me.
Now, I feel like in the second round, I feel like guard.
Oh, we get Scatabo.
Like, I don't mind taking a running back, but I don't. I feel like it's too early for that.
I agree. Whew.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing a guard worth taking right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just going off of ranks, I mean, Donovan Jackson's interesting, but because I think he can play guard as well. But I feel like we just need to draft a guard to play guard. I'm tired of them getting these tackles. I mean, if I had to go with what I guess what the board is showing, and if PFS is somewhat accurate, I feel like Walker, maybe the best available linebacker.
A linebacker?
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm very concerned about my grades. So I would go with Xavier Restrepo because it says we need a wide receiver, even though I don't really believe it. So
because Walker could potentially be a starter.
Yeah. Or maybe we go with an edge rusher.
Possibly. I can see that.
Yeah. I think edge.
All right, then take the best available edge guy. Because in my head, I feel like they got to go 2 defensive linemen, 2 offensive linemen. I like the tight end out of Miami.
Really?
Yeah.
We've drafted way too many tight ends, man.
Tez Johnson. I feel like he tore it up.
Tez Johnson? Oh, wide receiver?
Yeah, Oregon.
Well, they have picked wide receiver in the 3rd round 2 years in a row. But I like how there are a couple tackles here. I might go offensive line.
Okay, then. Okay, go with the best available lineman then.
Let's filter here. Let's see what we got for offensive tackle. Don't know who any of these guys are. I know John Williams.
Do guard.
Or guards.
Just
inferior offensive line.
Ooh, Ratledge. Yeah, I'd go with Ratledge, actually.
Touch early, but okay.
Well, we're not going to get him in the next round.
Hey, man, you're screwing up my grade.
But this might be one of those mocks that holds up well against time.
Okay.
'Cause a lot of these grades are going to change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've. Okay, now it says that we need a guard, but we drafted a guard.
No, I don't
It's
think
not
it changes.
adjusting. Oh, okay. Guard, defensive lineman, wide receiver. I wouldn't mind a running back at any point going forward.
I'm not seeing any of the. I feel like this might be the time to double dip at offensive line, maybe?
It's a touch early according to the rankings.
Yeah, for guard, for sure.
What about tackle? I'm sure that they're...
Yeah, it's like the same.
Yeah.
All right, well then go to defensive tackle. Wait, did we already get 2? I think we already got 2 defensive linemen, didn't we? Yeah.
We got interior and an edge.
Okay.
Whoops.
So maybe linebacker, tackle, running back, receiver.
Okay. Well, I don't see where we need a linebacker, but I'll trust you because it matches with what we're doing. You want to get this Barrett Carter guy?
Can you scroll down a little bit further?
Yeah. Or do you want to double dip with another edge?
No. Yeah, no. I'm good with the linebacker. Oh wow. It's got really good PFF grades.
Yeah.
Is this pass blocking? Oh, he's got really good elusive.
Yeah. You want to draft him? Wait, what does this say? Or do we want to stick with our guns and go edge?
Well, I was thinking more linebacker, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's just do the linebacker.
so we've got 2 more picks. Ooh. A guard out of Iowa? Does that make sense?
How does it ever not make sense to go guard out of Iowa? Okay. Yeah, I like it.
This might be the first time ever that the Bengals drafted 2 guards. I feel like now we got to go receiver
Yeah, I mean,
or tight end.
Yeah, I feel like receiver, running back. Oh, I got Ollie Gordon. This guy was. Remember last year after the draft, I thought that the Bengals actually drafted Ollie Gordon. But
Yeah.
he was amazing 2 years ago, and this year he played really bad. I don't know what happened this year.
I say we go for him.
Look at his PFF, right? It was like 83 and 23, and then down to 75. But look at his stats. He went from 1,700 yards to 854,
That's crazy.
and he averaged 6 yards a carry in 23, and then 4.5. I guess he didn't have that bad of a year.
No, I mean,
He started off, I think, way worse.
was he
But-
hurt?
I don't know. I don't know much about him, but it's a 7th round pick. You seem to be on board, so let's just pull the trigger.
I remember watching his highlights last year. I was like, yeah, we got to get this guy.
Yeah.
Let's do it. What do you think we got? A B? I think we got a solid B at the very least, if not like an A minus.
Wow, the Bengals didn't even pick in the 7th round.
No, they traded the pick.
Oh, that's right. We got Herbert, right?
Yeah.
Order award. Oh, our worst pick was we drafted Kyle Kennard, and we should have drafted Xavier Restrepo. Not bad. B plus.
Told you, solid B.
Nice.
Solid
Nice.
B. I
Look at
think that's
us.
a pretty. Let's see. Yeah, two defensive linemen, 2 offensive linemen,
Yeah.
linebacker, and running back. I mean, it looks solid to me. I mean, I feel like the area that I feel really weak in right now is like wide receiver prospects. I'm sure
Yeah.
I'll have a better idea like once we actually start going through them a little bit.
Yeah.
But I like it. Might be the first time ever that the Bengals have never drafted either as cornerback or receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So like that last
Nice.
pack probably could have been, or actually one of the last 2 picks could have been a receiver.
Yeah. If we could get Ollie Gordon in the 6th round, I mean, that feels like such a high upside pick. You know? and like very little downside because it's a 6th round pick. I mean, that guy was awesome 2 years ago.
Yeah,
So.
and I mean, most likely he's going to be the 3rd string running back anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a perfect situation too, right? Because
Yeah,
you're looking at more of like
special
a
teams
committee, special teams, going to have to earn carries kind of thing. And if it doesn't pan out, to get that level of a player at the 6th round, I feel like that works out good.
I would be very satisfied with this draft.
Yeah. All right.
You going to take a screenshot of it or?
I could. Let's see. How do I do that? There used to be a way to download it. I guess I'll just. Oh wait, we got the 1st round.
I could tell this updated a little bit. It must have been
Yeah.
after Senior Bowl.
So I'll see if this is mock 12025. And I need to use this core bard. Save. All right. Nice job.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty solid draft.
No, I was talking about this, not the draft. The whole thing. The stream.
Okay.
Nice job. Nice job. Good job.
Thank you.
Any comments? Anything in the comments section?
Yeah.
Got nothing today? No?
No comments.
All right. Just want to end her?
Let's do it.
All right. Peace.
Sorry, I got to get to the right spot. We might have to do that one more time. All right. Ready? All right. Peace. Wait, where's my? All right.